Mixing It Up in the Kitchen. I'm Andrew, and today my mom Chris is behind the camera. So today what we're going to make is cheesecake, my famous cheesecake. Now I've brought this to family gatherings and I've turned cheesecake haters into cheesecake lovers. So I'm going to go over our basic ingredients and tools, and let's get. Alright, so this is your basic ingredients for the cheesecake. So what we're going to be using today is 1 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1/4 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of flour, 3 eggs, and 3 8-ounce packs of cream cheese, and also some cinnamon. Now, when you kind of use this when you're mixing it up, so I always go by the look, not by the measurement, so we're going to kind of experiment around with that when we get to that point. Now, also we're going to use a pre-done graham cracker crust, just to kind of speed up the video a little bit. It still tastes the same and looks good. And then for our topping, we're going to be using cherries, just 1 can. Now, you can use blueberries, strawberries, you can get creative and put chocolate on top, whatever you want. But just to make it simple today, we're just going to use cherries. Now for our tools and supplies here, we're going to be using your basic 9-inch pie pan. Now what this is used for is just kind of bringing out your graham cracker crust in and out of the oven, just for stability, and then your crust doesn't crack. And also what we're going to be using is a large mixing bowl, a spoon for mixing, a spatula for putting all the stuff into the pie crust, and my mom's very ancient mixer from the 1990s. It still works, so we're going to use that today. Alright, so our first step is we're going to set our oven to 375, which I've already done. And we're going to start out with our first ingredient, which is our 3 8-ounce packs of cream cheese. We're going to throw that in there. And then we're going to add our 1 cup of sugar. Stick that in there. Our 2 tablespoons of flour. And then our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mix that all up. Alright, so this is the kind of consistency you're going to want to be looking for, kind of a creamy look. And I used a low to medium setting on my mixer. Alright, so now this is the point where you're going to want to start adding your 1/4 cup of milk and your 3 eggs. And then you're going to want to mix that up again, kind of to a medium setting at first, and then you might want to speed up a little bit. So I'm going to get going on that. Alright, so this is the kind of consistency you're going to want to be looking for after you mix in your eggs and your milk. It's a little more runny, as you can see, but that's what you're going to want to be looking for. Alright, so now this is the step where you're going to be adding your cinnamon. Now this is about, I don't know, about a tablespoon. Now it depends on the person. You know, if you like a little bit more, add a little bit more. If you don't like as much, don't add it as much, you know, it just depends on the person. But now I like to do it as I'm mixing, that way I can kind of see what the batter looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and just start mixing, and you can kind of see how I do it. Now I kind of do it at a low setting so I can just kind of see, and I add a little bit at a time. Alright. Alright, so this is kind of what I look for when I make it. You can kind of see the cinnamon in there, and you know, that's what I like. So, alright, so now we're going to go on to the next step of putting it in the pie crust. Alright, so our next step is we're going to put our cheesecake batter into our pie crust. And what I already went ahead and did is I got our pie pan and I put our crust in the pie pan. Just for, again, stability of bringing it in and out of the oven. And so you don't crack your crust. Alright, so we're going to put our batter in. And also what I should mention too, your pie crust, it should be a large one if you're going with a pre-done one. Because it makes a lot of batter. You want to have enough room for it. Here, I'll just get the rest of this here. Alright, that's good. Alright, so next what you're going to want to do is just kind of smooth it out and get it all nice and even around the edges. Just like this here. Alright, so that's good. Alright, so our next step then is we're going to throw it in the oven for about 35 minutes. It might take a little bit longer, kind of depends on your oven. And alright, let's go ahead and pop it in the oven. Alright, so again our next step is we're going to pop this in the oven. But first, as another helpful tip, you might want to put your cheesecake on a baking sheet just so it's easy to bring it in and out of the oven. And also the batter kind of grows a little bit, and sometimes what happens is the batter kind of spills out of the pie and gets on the bottom of your oven and makes a mess. So you don't want that. This kind of helps in that way. And again, you want to set it to 375, and let's go ahead and just pop this in real quick. And again, for our time, we're going to set it for 35 minutes, just to start out. Alright, now we got it. Alright, so now what I did is I just pulled the cheesecake out of the oven, and what I like to do now is, just to make sure that it's fully cooked, is just kind of shake it a little bit. And what I'm looking for is from the outside edge inward about 2.5 inches to see if it's set, or at least look like it's set. And I'm thinking that it is. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to kind of let it cool for about a half an hour, and then we'll put our toppings on. Alright, so our final step after letting it cool for about a half an hour is we're going to start putting our toppings on. And again, we chose cherries, but you can choose anything else. So I'll throw this on real quick. Alright, just spread it out here. That's really it. And that's how you make my famous cheesecake. So, you can check us out on Facebook. We will be listing our ingredients list and directions. And if you like this video, don't forget to like us and follow us for more recipes in the future. Most of all, thanks for watching. and I'll see you again soon.